Hello, my friends. Welcome to Sleep with Stories. As the evening falls, imagine the world slowing down, bathed in the soft, golden light of dusk. The hustle and bustle of the day begins to fade, leaving behind a peaceful stillness that invites you to relax and unwind. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more grounded, more at ease. Let your mind drift to a place of calm, where the world around you softly melts away. Take a moment to simply be, to let go of the worries of the day, and embrace the tranquility of the night. This is where our story begins, in this serene, quiet space. Tonight, we will embark on a peaceful, reflective journey through the winding, ancient streets of one of the world's most captivating cities. Rome, the Eternal City. Our stroll will take place during the magical twilight hours, when the golden sun dips below the horizon, and the city begins to bathe in the soft hues of the blue hour. So, let us begin by settling in, finding a comfortable position, and preparing ourselves for this tranquil journey. Take a nice, deep breath in, filling your lungs with the calm air. Hold it gently for a moment, and then slowly release it, feeling the tension of the day drift away. One more time, breathe in deeply, filling your chest completely, and exhale slowly, letting go of all lingering stress. If your mind still seems busy at this point, don't force it to quiet. Let it wander as it needs to, accepting the thoughts without judgment. Gradually, your mind will begin to calm, like the tide pulling back from the shore. As you settle deeper into relaxation, imagine yourself stepping into a place of beauty and serenity. Close your eyes gently and let your imagination carry you away. Picture the warm, earthy scent of jasmine floating on a gentle breeze. The air carries the intoxicating aromas of fresh cooking, wafting from an open window nearby, mingling with the faint sound of chatter in a language that feels as old as the city itself, Italian. In the background, you hear the soft, rhythmic sound of trickling water from a fountain, the gentle murmur of life unfolding in this ancient place. Look around, and as you do, watch the scenery come to life in your mind's eye, slowly taking shape. You're sitting in a charming outdoor cafe in the heart of Rome's historic center, with the late afternoon sun warming the air. The summer heat is tempered by the breeze flowing through the open window beside you, and your table rests against the cobblestones of a quiet piazza. This peaceful square, tucked away from the busy streets, feels like a refuge from the modern world. Yet it hums with the energy of centuries-old history. In the center of the piazza stands a magnificent Renaissance fountain, its water sparkling in the fading sunlight. You gaze at the intricate statues of 4 bronze boys, each with an arm raised, reaching to catch a bronze turtle falling from a basin above. Their feet rest upon dolphins, which in turn pour water into a shell, sending it cascading into the wide basin below. It's a playful, imaginative scene, frozen in time, and a true work of art. As you sit back, sipping your cool drink, you notice the many passers-by who pause to admire the fountain. For both locals and tourists, this square is a special place, filled with charm and history. You glance down at the guidebook on the table and read about the fascinating Roman legend surrounding this very fountain. The story, passed down through generations, tells of a young man who fell in love with the daughter of a wealthy older man who lived in the square. Determined to marry her, the young man had to win the approval of her father. One night, he had a brilliant idea and arranged for the fountain to be built overnight. The next morning, when the father opened his window, he was astonished to see the fountain gleaming in the sunlight. Impressed by the gesture, he gave his approval, and the young couple was married. More than 500 years later, this symbol of love and ingenuity continues to capture the hearts of everyone who passes by. You can't help but smile as you look at the fountain, appreciating its beauty and the timelessness of the story it tells. Even if the legend is just that, a legend, it still speaks to the imagination, drawing everyone who stops to listen. The soothing sound of the trickling water fills the air, and you feel the peacefulness of the moment. You could easily stay here for hours, just absorbing the tranquility. But the evening sky is beginning to change. The golden light of sunset is fading, and the blue hour is beginning to envelop the city. This is a time when the city takes on a whole new character. The blue hour is a unique moment, one where the light begins to soften and the air feels cooler. It's the time when the world seems to slow down and everything takes on a dreamy quality. In Rome, this time of day is especially magical. As the sun dips below the horizon, the sky turns into a deep, rich shade of blue, contrasting beautifully with the golden light from the street lamps that are slowly being turned on. The streets seem to shimmer in this fading light, the cobblestones taking on a soft glow as the contrast between the darkening sky and the glowing lamps creates little pools of light. The buildings, too, transform in this soft light. The ancient stone walls, which during the day may appear drab or worn, now seem to shine with their own unique character, their colors shifting from muted red and yellow to a rich silver and indigo. In the quiet streets of the historic center, you spot the swifts soaring high above the rooftops. These small, agile birds have returned from their long migration to Africa, and as they swoop and dive, their jubilant cries fill the air. It's as if they, too, are celebrating their return to the city, their joyous songs echoing through the streets. As you walk through the winding alleys of Rome, you pass under arches and alongside buildings that have stood for centuries. The textures of the buildings are fascinating. Layers of paint, old advertisements, and remnants of forgotten messages scrolled on the walls. Some of the structures are so old that their original purpose has long been forgotten, while others have been carefully preserved, keeping a part of the city's history alive. The streets are alive with the sound of people, locals going about their evening routines, tourists marveling at the sights, and the occasional vendor offering their goods. The atmosphere is relaxed, yet there's an undeniable sense of timelessness that pervades the air. It's as though every corner of the city is telling a story. You pause to admire a particularly beautiful building, one that seems to have been built on the remnants of an ancient Roman temple. The building's architecture is a striking blend of old and new, with decorative details from the past integrated into the modern structure. It's a perfect example of spolia, the reuse of ancient materials in newer buildings. As you move further into the city, you pass a small restaurant with the inviting aroma of garlic and olive oil wafting out. The faint sounds of a kitchen in action, a knife chopping vegetables, the sizzle of food in a pan, reach your ears, and you feel a warm sense of comfort. It's the kind of place where you can imagine people gathering after a long day, sharing stories over a meal. You breathe in deeply, taking in the mingling smells of food, flowers, and the fresh evening air. There's something so captivating about this moment. The feeling of being fully immersed in a place so rich in history, culture, and life. The walls of the buildings around you are not perfect. They bear the marks of time, yet it's these imperfections that give them such character. You walk on, letting the sights and sounds of the city wash over you, and soon you find yourself standing in front of one of the ancient Roman structures. The remnants of old columns rise out of the modern buildings, standing as silent witnesses to the city's long and storied past. These architectural fragments are known as spolia, leftover pieces of ancient temples and monuments, reworked into new structures. They're like pieces of history, telling their own quiet stories. With each step, you move deeper into the heart of the city, where the past and present coexist. The city feels alive, not just in its vibrant streets and people, but in its ability to blend old and new. There's a harmony here, a seamless connection between the centuries, that makes Rome feel like it's always been this way. Alive, evolving, and endlessly fascinating. As you approach another corner, the light from the street lamps glows softly on the cobblestones, casting long shadows against the buildings. The sky has deepened into a dark blue, and the stars are starting to twinkle overhead. It's time to take a moment to reflect on the beauty of this city, where history and modernity exist side by side, and where every corner holds a story waiting to be discovered. Even some of the most recognizable landmarks in Rome, you might find, could have been lost to time, if not for some fortunate turns of fate. For instance, the Pantheon, one of the most majestic structures in the city, owes its survival to its conversion from a pagan temple to a Christian church. Without this adaptation, it may have been plundered for its materials, as many ancient buildings were during those years. Yet, despite its 2,000 years of history, the Pantheon remains remarkably intact, a testament to the ingenuity of its builders and the foresight of its protectors. As you wander through the streets of Rome, you stop for a moment to admire the Roman remains displayed on a wall of a building on the corner. Your fingers brush over the cool, polished surface of marble fragments, pieces of ancient grandeur. It's hard to imagine a time when such treasures might have been discarded. Yet it's precisely because of this recycling of ruins that so many beautiful fragments have been preserved. Walking through Rome feels like strolling through a vast, open-air museum, a place where history is layered upon itself, each street holding new discoveries, each corner bringing forth a glimpse of the past. The streets in Rome are not merely paths, but a narrative unfolding before your eyes. From colorful frescoes painted on the walls to plaques commemorating famous figures and significant events, the past is always just a step away. It's easy to imagine losing yourself for hours in the labyrinth of alleyways, letting the charm of the city wrap around you as you wander, taking your time to discover each little secret it holds. Slowly, Your gaze drifts upward from the cool stone walls to the wide sky. As you look up, you realize that the busy streets below, the constant hum of life around you, seem to fade away. The streets in the center of Rome are like a winding maze. Yet the moment you look to the sky, there's a sense of calmness and perspective. The deep blue of the evening sky provides a peaceful contrast to the city's bustling energy. You forget, for just a moment, that you're in the heart of one of the most vibrant cities in the world. The blue hour has arrived, an enchanting time, where the sun has dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a soft, tranquil glow. The city breathes a collective sigh as the day transforms into night. You sense this shift even more strongly in the blue hour, a time when the whole city seems to pause, taking a deep breath as it readies itself for the quiet of the evening. The fading light and the first glimmers of stars overhead add a sense of serenity to the atmosphere, as if the world itself is winding down. The skyline is low here, with few buildings rising higher than 4 stories. It's part of a deliberate design. No structure in the heart of Rome can exceed the height of St. Peter's Basilica, the towering symbol of the Vatican City. As you stroll through the center of the city, you're struck by the human scale of it all. Despite the grandeur of the monuments and buildings around you, there's something relatable about Rome. It's a city built for people, not just for power or for show. The narrow streets, the intimate piazzas, the countless small cafés, all of these give the city a sense of warmth, of life lived in close connection. Each winding street you pass eventually leads you to one of these beautiful squares, the hubs of neighborhood life. But none are quite as striking as the one you find yourself in now. Piazza Navona, often considered the most beautiful square in all of Rome. The boy can't be more than 7 or 8 years old, dark-haired, with a strong resemblance to his father. Yet, despite his youth, he already carries with him the air of someone important. His disinterest in his homework shows that he's far from the typical student. But even so, his young eyes carry the weight of future leadership. Before long, you see Eratosthenes emerge from one of the rows of scrolls, his arms laden with piles of papyrus. His excitement is palpable, and you can see the glint of enthusiasm in his eyes as he steps forward. Eratosthenes is one of the most famous polymaths of the era, a scholar whose interests span rhetoric, science, poetry, and of course mathematics. He is the 3rd head librarian of the library, having taken over the position just a year ago at the age of 35. His thick, bushy beard is streaked with gray, and his curly hair is already beginning to recede. Though his youthful energy and passion for learning are undeniable, you can imagine what a marble bust of his face would look like. Impressive, to say the least. But despite his accomplishments, his youthful enthusiasm often betrays his age. His excitement about knowledge, about uncovering the mysteries of the world, is contagious. As he walks toward you, he gestures for you to come over. "Come, come," he says. "I need you to retrieve something from me." With a wave of his hand, he casually asks you to fetch his treatise on the circumference of the world. He speaks about it with such ease, as if it were the simplest request. You know exactly where it is, down the hall where scribes are busy working on transcriptions. You make your way past rows of scrolls and busy attendants. The soft rustle of papyrus and the rhythmic scratching of reed pens filling the air. The scent of papyrus is almost overwhelming in this section of the library, but it's a comforting smell that makes you feel like you're walking through the very heart of human knowledge. You find the head librarian's treatise in a section filled with works in progress, where scribes are diligently copying and translating the great works of the ancient world. The treatise has been in high demand since Eratosthenes completed his calculations just over a year ago. Scribes have been working tirelessly to send copies to scholars in Cyrene and Athens, hoping to spread Eratosthenes' groundbreaking discoveries to others and encourage further advancements in mathematics. You carefully roll up the scroll and return to Eratosthenes and the prince. When you hand him the treatise, the head librarian unfurls the papyrus, his eyes lighting up with excitement as he reads through the first section. He explains his work with a voice full of passion, the words flowing easily as he speaks about the circumference of the world and the importance of data in understanding the universe. With enough data from any observable source, you can understand anything, he says, turning to the prince with a twinkle in his eye. He hopes the young prince will share his enthusiasm for mathematics and the exploration of the world. But the prince simply sighs, clearly uninterested in the subject. Eratosthenes chuckles softly and suggests they move on to the lyric poetry section for the rest of the afternoon. The prince's eyes light up at the mention of poetry, and you can see the fascination with myths and legends in his expression. He, like his father, Alexander the Great, is captivated by the stories of gods and heroes. As the two of them make their way to the poetry section, Eratosthenes asks you to stay behind and clean up the materials. You gently roll up the papyrus scrolls, feeling the texture of the rough material in your hands as you organize them. The attendants come over to help, and together you carefully reshelf the scrolls, preparing the section for the next group of scholars. For the next while, you continue working on your own transcriptions, keeping an eye on Eratosthenes and his student in case they need any more scrolls. Eventually, the prince is escorted away by the royal guard, and you find yourself alone with the head librarian. You follow Eratosthenes to his study to help him locate a scroll he has misplaced, one about the constellations. His study is as chaotic and complex as his mind, filled with scrolls and books from every corner of the known world. You sift through piles of ancient texts, translations of Egyptian sailors' tales, and commentaries on Homer's epics, searching for the scroll. At last, you find it, buried beneath a mountain of similar writings. Eratosthenes uses a small mechanical device of his own invention to prop the scroll open. The device is an incredible creation, a model of celestial objects, meticulously crafted to scale. It is a perfect representation of Eratosthenes' devotion to both knowledge and invention. As you stand in the heart of the Library of Alexandria, surrounded by the world's greatest collection of knowledge, you are filled with a deep sense of awe. Here, in this monumental space, the future of humanity is being shaped, one scroll, one idea at a time. As the story comes to a close, let the lessons of discovery and knowledge linger in your mind. Just like the scholars of Alexandria, we all have a world of possibilities within our reach, waiting to be explored. The journey of learning never ends, and every new discovery adds to the beauty of our lives. Now, as you rest, let go of any lingering thoughts, and know that all is well. The peaceful night around you holds countless dreams yet to be discovered. With the stars shining above, and the wisdom of ages in your heart, allow yourself to drift into sleep. Embrace the calm, knowing that tomorrow holds new opportunities. Just as the scholars of Alexandria embraced the endless pursuit of knowledge. Sleep well, dear listener, wrapped in the warmth of peace and the quiet hum of a world full of wonder. Good night.